the Everything But Politics podcast.
Here we go. Episode 144 with Hally Leadbetter. Hally, how are you?
I'm doing great, Merrick. Thank you guys so much for having me.
It's our pleasure. Hally, we're a few short days into summer, and all 8 of the PGA Tour's signature events are done, and only one major remains. That feels a bit wrong, does it not?
I know, and so much summer to go as well. So no, I feel you on that. I feel like though now it's time for everybody else to stop watching and get out and work on their own games a little bit. Yeah. So yeah, at least that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to get some golf in a lot this summer, which I'm excited about. So yeah, I know it feels funny. I feel like once the Masters hits, everything just goes so fast.
Yeah, in the winter, like from really Hawaii the first week of the year onto, like you said, the Masters, it's pretty jam-packed. Like there's a lot of really high quality, high caliber events, and then post Masters that you get like the RBC, which is like an elevated event, but then from there it slowly goes down. I feel like Quill Hollow or the Wells Fargo doesn't have the juice they used to have. And then the PGA, and then it's summer golf, and then it kind of descends. But with that said, the U.S. Open was a joy to watch. I'm sure you loved you were there, yes?
Yeah, I was there just on Saturday for an event. So I flew in Friday night, went Saturday, got to do a Q&A with Andy North, who's won 2 U.S. Open. So he's always has some incredible insight into the event. He's on the USGA executive committee as well, so he can speak to the course setup, which is always very interesting. And then, flew out there Sunday morning, got back here in time to watch the final round from my couch.
Nice. Very nice.
Hally, tell us a little bit about Better Content Co. and all you're working on there.
Yeah. So Better Content Co. is a production company that I founded in January now. So with a guy by the name of Andrew Wantuck. He was a producer at Comedy Central for 10 years, produced Tosh.0. So very familiar with comedy and just overall production. He's a genius, so have gotten to work with him. I've worked with him on a couple of various projects over the last few years, and we realized that we really enjoyed working together and made a really great team, and that there were a lot of brands in the golf space that needed some help when it came to content. A lot of that stuff lives on social. Some of it is commercials as well, TV shows. So yeah, it's been really great. The response has been awesome. We've gotten to work with some really cool people, and it's been really, really fun. It's cool because it's given me another creative outlet. I always say, like, I enjoy being on camera, and if I can make something better, then great. But what I really love to do is work with really creative people and make cool, interesting things. And whether that involves me being in front of the camera or not I've realized at this point is kind of irrelevant in terms of like how much I enjoy the actual project. It's much more about the camaraderie and getting to work with creative people.
Is this your first entrepreneurial venture?
So I guess, well, I would say my first entrepreneurial venture would probably be when I left my full-time job to pursue, hosting and content creation full-time. So I'd say that was probably my first jump into it, because being a talent, if you will, is kind of unless you're like a full-time contract with the CBS or Golf Channel or whatever, it is, contracting. So that in itself, you're having to, manage your books and your taxes and send invoices and stuff. I remember when I was at full-time at Golf Digest, and when I became a freelancer, Golf Digest was so supportive, which was so awesome. And I ended up freelancing for them, having been full-time. And I remember talking to my boss and being like, yeah, I haven't gotten paid yet. And she's like, yeah, you have to send an invoice. And I was like, how do you do that? So I'd say that was probably my first step into like running my own business. And this has been a nice sort of second chapter of that.
Beautiful. Yeah, well, it's been a nice, productive first half of this year. I'm sure you're excited for what's in store. Hally, I'm going to ask you a question. This might be the hardest question you've ever been asked on a podcast. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
You can only answer with one word.
Okay.
Do you work in media or do you work in golf?
Ooh. I'd say media, probably. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't
For
know.
sure.
Oh man, that's really tough. Or do I work in golf? Well, now I want to say I work in golf. I don't know. Oh, there's such an argument to be made for both things because there's so many. I think of so many people that can say that they work in golf and their job would be so different than what I do, but so many people that say they work in like media or entertainment and their job would be so different than what I do. I don't know. I'm gonna stick with my first answer. I'm gonna say media.
Fortunately, you get to blend them perfectly as you do.
I try for sure.
Yeah, we were just joking about the going back to the content conversation, the OnlyFan post, which is absolutely hysterical.
Yeah.
What? Well, yeah. Evan was actually telling me about that. What was like that light bulb going off? Because that's one of the funniest pieces of golf content I've seen.
Thank you. So that actually, I have to give credit to my friend Carly Chaikin, who I do a lot of work with. She is an actor. She was in Mr. Robot, very and Subpurgatory, I think it's called. Yeah, very talented actor, very, very creative. She brought that idea to me about like basically like a call center, like what would that be like for people to call in and vent about their rounds. And then I kind of took that and spun it into, oh, what if it was like, you're calling like basically, yeah, the term OnlyFan, kind of came up where you,
Yes.
because and it was largely inspired. A lot of the conversation was inspired by my husband, who I absolutely adore, but does like to call me and give me the full breakdown of every single time without fail. It's like, oh, I know it's been 5.5 hours. Surely going to get the call any minute now. And generally, it's like, yeah, it was, so first hole. Hit it down the left, just in the first cut, no big deal. Had about 180 in. It's like, and we are going to hit the main points of the round, which I find so funny. And for whatever reason, I mean, I also am I would say I'm a pretty big golfer myself, but I don't necessarily feel the urge to do that as much as I find that my male counterparts do that play golf. So yeah, no, it was Carly was definitely the one that came up with the initial concept, and then largely inspired by conversations that I have with my husband, and I have found that a lot of my friends have with their significant others when it comes to their rounds. But I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. That was a fun one to make. Yeah, so I'm really glad you guys enjoyed that sketch. It was really, really fun to make.
No, definitely. And sometimes after a round of golf, especially when I play well, I need someone to call. Like I'll usually call Ethan or Evan. But sometimes like they don't always gas me up in the way I need to be gassed up, right? If I break 80 or something, I need someone. Not that doesn't happen as much as I would like, but if I break 80, I need someone to hype me up, like a hype man, a hype woman. And I don't have that as much as I need it in my life, so I appreciated that from a very personal level.
I think there's a real market for that.
There's a business there for sure.
I currently don't have the bandwidth to launch another company, but by all means, if you guys want to run with it, you have my permission.
It is good. And like another thing about your content is like it's very like high quality. It's well produced. What is going on with that? Is that you like what on what end do you like have a production team? Do you do that personally? Like what is the quality behind that?
Yeah, so it's kind of going back to Andrew, my production partner. He is, like I said, very good at what he does. I come from more of a cell phone world. Andrew comes from an all the bells and whistles world. And so our sketches are like full on movie productions. A very small, maybe like an indie film movie. Like we've got a 30-person film crew. Like and the people that are filming our stuff are people that have like won Emmys. Like these are full on real, gaffers, sound guys, cinematographers, directors that like this is what they do for a living, is do this for like the big screen. And it just so happens that everybody we work with loves golf, and so it's not necessarily like we're paying them what they would make on a movie set or a TV show set, but we say, hey, we've got these really fun ideas. Or do you happen to be free on this day? We pay them, of course. But it's kind of like their passion for golf and the love for comedy that we're able to get these really talented people paired with the fact that we're in their backyard here in Los Angeles. So I appreciate that you guys appreciate it, because sometimes, candidly, Andrew and I butt heads a little bit, like in terms of, is it worth the investment? Because this stuff isn't cheap to shoot, even though a lot of our friends do give us really great discounts. This stuff is expensive, but we really do feel like it's worth it. And that honestly is a reason why we don't normally put out like probably as much as we would like, because our process is that we meet once a week for about an hour to 2 hours with our group of writers, which consists of Forrest Shaw. He's a stand-up comedian, really funny guy. Kate Scarpetta, she played golf at Princeton and is a TV writer. My brother, who's a very, very funny guy. Comes from an improv background. And then myself and Andrew, and we basically just pitch ideas. And what we try to do is, we'll pitch, then we'll go back and write, and then refine, and then we'll try to shoot like 2 to 3 of these in one day. And those days tend to be like pretty expensive, and they're very long days. But as much of, the world is, like you guys know, being on social, it's funny because sometimes I have invested in like some sketches where I've spent like a couple $1,000 and it just absolutely tanks, and then something else that I shoot with my cell phone will pop off, and you're like, why am I even doing this? Like, why am I even spending this money? But what I found is like I just really enjoy the process of like making something that you're really, really proud of. So ultimately, like if it pops off in the end, great. If it doesn't, it is what it is. You're going to win some, you lose some. But I appreciate, and Andrew will appreciate that you guys like the production quality, because that's something that we go back and forth on a lot, but have definitely, committed to when it comes to those larger sketches, for sure.
It's funny you mentioned like some flop and some don't. Merrick and I were just talking before this episode. Like I'll spend sometimes hours on one video, and that video gets like only a couple hundred views, and then another video that I don't even think's that like great hits tens of thousands of people.
Yeah,
it really makes no sense.
Yeah, I know. I think it's honestly, you just have to figure out like what works for you and what do you enjoy making. Like if I had to guess, I would have to think that if I personally wanted to go like golf instruction route, that I could probably do well as like a golf instructor, like in terms of content wise. But I don't really enjoy doing that. So, maybe the odd thing that like I personally found and like to share with my others, but in terms of like putting out constant tips, there's so many other people that really enjoy doing that and are really good at it. And I personally would rather spend my time like going to write with funny comedians that like golf, and then maybe like once a month we'll put out something great, and then that for me is really fun. So I think it's just finding like what works for you. What are your goals for social media? Like what do you want to be known for? And then kind of working back from there in terms of like building out, I guess, a content strategy. So something that I feel you, Evan, something that I struggle with on a daily basis in terms of like how much effort and money and time do you put into something, and when is it worth it, and when do you just say like, I'll shoot with my phone.
Yeah,
totally. Now, growing up in a golf family, when did that like love for golf really hit you? Because I feel like growing up in a family that's so golf oriented, there could be times where you're so sick of it.
Oh yeah. Oh man. I was sick of it and did not want anything to do with it until I was about 13 years old. Like golf was always around. I would go to the range. Like I remember going to golf summer camp and just being like, I just want to go inside and eat chicken fingers. It's so hot in Florida. Like, I just want to eat chicken fingers and hang out at the golf course with my friends. I don't actually want to play golf or hit balls. I hate this. But ultimately, and so for me, what my love was as a kid was competitive horseback riding. I did I did like show jumping and that kind of stuff for a very long time. And then when I was like 13 was when I got the golf bug. And, for better or for worse, I'm a very all or nothing person. So I went from like not wanting anything to do with golf to like deciding that I wanted to play on the LPGA, probably in the matter of like a week, if I'm honest. I was like, I'm either doing it or I'm not going to do it at all. So yeah, changed my mind very quickly, got very into golf. I think probably a big part of that was my brothers were very good and I wanted to, be around them and compete against them. And my parents, I think kudos to them because, my dad being the instructor that he is and my mom having played on the LPGA, they were very supportive of whatever I wanted to do. And I think, a lot of parents, if they are, wanting to have their child get into golf, they can kind of push their kid into golf. And I think if my parents would have done that, I would have gone the opposite direction. So my parents just kind of waited for me to get the bug. And I very much did when I was about 13 years old.
Yeah, it's a good bug to have.
Yeah, for sure. And now I'm so glad. I'm so glad that I did.
Well, I have a question for you, and I know Evan can relate to this. Do you have a special bond with lefties?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, I do. Are you guys lefty or?
I'm a lefty.
Evan's a lefty.
Yeah.
Yes. You know what I say? It's so funny. I met two lefties this weekend at the golf course. There are two types of people in the world: lefties and those that wish they were.
Yeah, I like that. Well, I think it's so funny. Merrick, it was so random. We golfed in North Carolina a few weeks ago. We had back-to-back rounds where we were paired with someone, and they were both lefties.
No way!
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Which is that's like winning the lottery.
Yeah, no, that's very rare. It's funny.
I think I'd rather win the lottery.
Yeah, my little brother happens to be lefty as well, which is funny because when we play golf together, we like as a lefty, you're not really used to playing with other lefties. So you know how generally, like even as a lefty, I will still drive the cart up on the wrong for my brother who's also a lefty.
I do that all the time.
Sorry.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
That's so funny. We did that a couple weeks ago. We played Father's Day, and I continued to do that. I never really learned.
Yeah, no, I do it to my brother all the time, and we are both lefties.
That's so funny. Hally, something that I really have come to love is your on the tee videos.
Thank you.
But going back to that content conversation we had, you think you think you would have been able to do something like that on your own, or did Golf Digest, did that just kind of like amplify and allow you to really make that happen?
Oh yeah, definitely. There's no chance I would have been able to or would be able to do that without Golf Digest. I think
because it's so like going back to the production, it's so well produced, and you're playing with some like legends of the game on some of the most iconic golf courses in the world.
Yeah, no, for sure. That and that I would say definitely. I mean, that's only doable with a Golf Digest because a lot of these celebrities that we're getting are themselves like very, very just basically excited to be featured by a Golf Digest. Like as a golfer, Golf Digest is such an iconic brand. So sure, it's definitely one of the more old school brands. It's been around forever. But as a golfer, whether it's in print or digitally, to be featured, by Golf Digest, that's like every golfer's dream. There's all like my dad growing up, like to teach me to hold my finish, he would be like, hold your finish as if you're in the cover of Golf Digest. Like that's like every golfer's dream to be in Golf Digest. So I think for sure there's no way that we would, no way that I would, or I don't think a lot of people would be able to do a show like that unless it was backed by, a legacy brand like Golf Digest, because these celebrities will pick up the phone or, take a couple hours out of their day because they're just like, as a golfer, they're like, wow, this is so cool that I get to be, a part of that. So yeah, I think we started that maybe like 4 or 5 years ago now. And we've done it with so many cool people. And it's just been really fun to see just the different ways, whether it's musicians or actors or comedians or athletes to see like what role golf plays in their life. And it's different for everybody. You know, I remember one time Sebastian Maniscalco, the comedian, you know, he was like, oh, golf, you know, for me, it make sure I don't rot in my hotel room when I'm on the road. And, you know, you have other athletes who are like, it's for me, I love the competition of it. And you have other people that say, for me, it's meditative. Like it does so many things, like is for so many different people, and we all find what we need through golf, which I think is really interesting.
I personally loved the one with Jim Nantz.
Oh.
I've been a big Jim Nantz guy for a long time, and for you to do that at Pebble Beach, did you go to his home in Pebble Beach?
I did. So that was actually my first time ever playing Pebble Beach, just those 3 holes, and I was like, honestly, I think I'm good. Like, I don't think I need to come back ever. I mean, obviously, I would go back, and I have been back since, but I was like, I don't think an experience can top this, to be honest. And it was such an amazing, like, you know, actually, it's so funny. Literally, just a couple days ago, someone referenced that episode as well, and they're like, "Is he as nice a guy as he comes off as?" I'm like, "Even nicer." Like he's just. There was a group behind us, and we weren't holding them up at all. But Jim was like, you know, they've been playing behind us this whole time. Like, I just want to make sure. I just want to go back, and I'm gonna call a couple shots for them just to, you know, make sure, just in case they're. You know, and I was like, first of all, Jim, they're not upset. They were playing behind Jim Nantz. Like, that's really cool. Second of all, like, they're at Pebble Beach. But the fact that he knew and wanted to go back and make your experience at Pebble Beach is already 10 out of 10. But imagine how special it would be if all of a sudden Jim Nantz rolls up in a car calling a couple shots for you. Like, he's the most humble person, yet simultaneously like recognizes that he has the ability to make someone's day and goes out of his way to do it, which I just think is like the epitome of like the best type of celebrity ever.
Totally. We met him briefly in Whistling Straits 2021 for the Ryder Cup, and he couldn't have been more friendly. It was like a quick interaction, but totally just like happy and optimistic and just a good energy. And like I said, we love like that sports commentary world. So to meet him and like this guy is called like every Masters of my lifetime. Like it's pretty iconic.
Yeah, just the nicest guy. He for my wedding, I got married in September. I told my husband for whatever reason that I really wanted to DJ my wedding if I ever got married. I told him that on our first date, which is such a weird thing to say on a first date, but I said that. So I ended up surprising him by DJing at our wedding, and I started the song off with a shout out from DJ Khaled, who was an on the tee guest, and I ended it with Jim Nantz saying like, "Let's make this a wedding for the ages."
That's so good.
That's amazing.
And it was really cool. It was awesome.
So, Hally, of all of the people you golfed with who were not professionals, who has the best game?
Ooh, probably the guy that I played golf with 2 days ago, Marty Fish.
He's won that championship at the Celebrity Championship.
Yeah, he's won the American Century Championship a couple times, maybe. But very, very good. I mean, I literally played with him on Sunday in the Drive for Kids championship in Maine, which is an incredible event. It's a pretty new celebrity tournament, and I was paired with Marty in the second to last group. And he, guys, I am not exaggerating when I say on the front nine, hit it to 18 inches, 3 holes in a row. 3 holes in a row, just walked up and tapped it in for birdie. I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And then ultimately shot 68 and won the tournament. So it was pretty cool that I got to play with him when he did that.
What's the current state of your game?
The current state of my game is decent. Like, I think I shot 79, 78, but with a lot of like just silly mistakes. So I think I'm excited. I got a couple more weeks until American Century. I'm gonna go hit some balls. My problem is I don't practice, and I come in waves. So for me, I was able to hit a couple balls before Drive for Kids. Went and played Drive for Kids. I've got a couple notes on okay, I need to work on my wedges. I need to work on my putting. My putting is atrocious right now. but hitting my driver well, striking it well. Just a little rusty. So overall, like some promising signs in there. I just gotta put in the work, and I just haven't been. So I have like literally no excuse. Like I have no reason to be upset with a 79 or 78, even though I do get upset.
That's like us. We go out there. I don't even hit the range. We go and play. We're all about like 8 handicaps, and we always expect to break 80. But then when we don't, we're like, well, we didn't really earn it.
Oh my God. When I played with Marty, I full on bladed 2 bunker shots, like knifed them over the green. And I'm sitting there like yelling at myself. And I was like, Hally, when is the last time you've practiced your bunker shots? And I couldn't tell you. I don't think in at least a year that I've gone to like hit bunker shots. So it's like, what are you gonna do? You can't be mad at yourself that you hit a bad bunker shot.
No, totally. You gotta have a lot of time on your hands to be practicing regularly. I'm just happy to get out on the course. All right. So speaking of getting on the course, though, being engraved into such a golf family. So let me give you a little background. My miss, I get quick and I like snap it. So any swing tips that like your father just engraved in your head that's always been like the go-to, like whether it's like keep your head down or blank blank blank. What's the go-to swing tip from Pops?
So for me, similar to you, I always get very quick. Especially if I haven't been playing for a while or if I'm nervous. So for me, it's always keeping my head still, because if I get really tense in my arms, everything moves off the ball together. So it's like taking the tension out of my arms, keeping my head nice and still, and feeling a pause at the top of my backswing. Those are always like my things that I just go back to on a regular basis. My dad always laughs that like whenever I send him swing videos, I'm like, I don't know what's happening. I can't hit the ball. And then I send it and he's like, he's like, since you were 12, it's literally never been anything different than what I'm telling you. Which I think is probably the case for most people. Like once you have a pretty golf swing, a pretty ingrained golf swing, you're never going to be like too far off. It's always going to be the same stuff that's wrong.
Yeah, like my strengths are always my strengths.
In a way.
Yeah, no, like when I miss, like I said, I have a short backswing, like really short. So I go short and then I just kind of like baseball swing it through, and I hit like a 200-yard snap hook, which is just shit. And then I'm scrambling for par and then even bogey sometimes, and that's where I get myself in trouble. Yeah,
no, I feel you. My miss is normally my miss is a block left or a big huge slingy draw, which is ironically the same swing fault. It's just am I gonna flip it and try to save it, or am I gonna keep it out left?
Totally.
Now, do you get more nervous when you're on air playing or when you're playing competitively?
Ooh, definitely playing competitively, for sure. I probably used to be the other way around. But I think probably because I do, it's probably because I do more on air playing. You just kind of get used to it. But now that I don't play competitively as much, I think that I probably get a little bit more nervous then.
With the second half of 2025 here, where's somewhere in your life that you want to improve?
Oh man, great question. So I would like to improve my time management. I have pretty severe OCD and ADHD, and so like a lot of people. But I tend to get like very sidetracked, and if like something needs to get done, and I like catch wind of it, I will drop everything I'm doing and then run to go do that thing, and then so I find myself like ping-ponging around various things as opposed to getting like keep the main thing, like what is the thing that has to get done today and what do we need to spend a couple hours on. So like you hear a lot of successful entrepreneurs, business leaders, whatever, talk about like time blocking to do their deep work. So I'm trying to get better at that, like setting time on my calendar. I think another thing that I tend to do, kind of like I mentioned, ping ponging, is like I'll have days like I'll just put meetings like all over the week. And what I should do, and I've heard a lot of people that are very successful with their time management like to do, is like, hey, my meeting days are like Tuesday and Wednesday, and those are the days that I do meetings, and I do meeting, and then the other days I reserve for like my deep work or various other things. So that's something that I'm trying to get better at, is just taking control of my schedule and my time, so I don't feel like I'm just like a palm tree blowing in the wind, and a little bit more intentional with like, okay, this day and this time is for this, and everything else can take a hike until I get this done.
That's so funny. I literally just had this conversation with Evan a day or two ago.
No,
I want to be,
today.
yeah, really, I want to be more like structured in my schedule, my calendar as well. So that's kind of like I begin blocking things out in my calendar, because I feel like we just had this conversation. It's so funny. Like true like visionaries don't just wing their day. They know exactly what they're going to be doing from really the whole week. So with that said, and as we do more podcasts, and I'm a realtor as well, so trying to get everything balanced, because I'm working long days anyway. So knowing exactly what each hour looks like, and from there, blocking out those times, it is so important. So it's funny you say that. We're on the same exact wavelength right now, Hally.
For sure. I think it's tough, especially, like yourselves, you podcast, realtor, like, and you're doing these different things, and your brain needs time to like switch gears. And that's another thing too. Like for me, I just got back from this golf tournament, and so today I'm kind of like in this mode where I'm like transitioning from just playing golf, and now I got to get back into like work mode. And I'm getting better. I'm like, okay, I just need like the morning to unpack and do some laundry and like get back, instead of just like throwing myself into the fire and being super frazzled. So yeah, let's work on that, Merrick. Let's work on our time management.
Let's
blocking our calendar.
We'll do this. We'll do this again in a year or so, and we'll reconvene and see how we're exactly. But so one last question I have for you, Hally, before we wrap this up is: in previous interviews and conversations, you've said that success used to be like things, but now as you've experienced more success, it's more of a feeling. What is that feeling?
Ooh, that is such a great question. The feeling, oh man, it's so hard to describe, but it's kind of like when it feels like kind of like a light bulb, or like a fire in my chest almost. That's kind of like how I went back, at the beginning of the when we were speaking at the beginning of the interview, when I said that like I used to think that I just wanted to be on camera, and then I realized that actually what I enjoy is the actual process of working with people, and being on camera is irrelevant if there's no place for it. So and I only found that out because I realized there were some on camera opportunities where I'm like, like this is not for me. Like I don't feel lit up. Like why is this not fun? Like I'm not excited to go do this. And granted, that being said, you sometimes have to do things that you're not excited to do by any means. Like I always look to my dad as someone that has had a career that he's so incredibly passionate about. And I've realized over time that like really loving what you do and having a career that you love is such a privilege. Most people don't get the opportunity to do something that they really love for a living. And so ideally you like at least like, I'd say a good job is where you like maybe like 60 to 65% of what you're doing. I think my dad is, I look to him as like the gold standard, because I think he probably loves about 95% of what he does. Sure, there's the odd thing that he needs to go do that he's like, I don't love this. But yeah, I think that's why I go back to like, for me, it's like a feeling, and success for me is like, if I could get that number up one day to be loving like 95% of what I'm doing, that would be so, so cool. But I was talking with a young girl that graduated college the other day, and she was telling me how she's not quite sure exactly what she wants to do. And I was like, that's totally fine. But just realize now, like, as you move into the workforce and you take an entry-level job, pay attention to like how various activities make you feel. Maybe your first job out of college, you love like 30% of it. And so ideally over time, that number just continually increases where you love more and more of what you do. But yeah, I used to just think that like, oh, I want to be on TV. I want to be, I used to say I wanted to be the host of the morning drive, which is, and the funny thing,
Yep.
the Golf Channel show, but the morning drive doesn't even exist anymore. So I can't even do that even if I wanted to. So that's why I always go back to like, and try to make it more about like, how do you want to feel in your day-to-day life, as opposed to being like so rigid and being like, it has to look like this. Because I think if you would have told me 5 years ago that, hey, you're going to move to Los Angeles and you're going to start a production company, I would have been like, what? No, I'm going to live in Orlando, Florida, and I'm going to host a show on the Golf Channel. And it's like, that's actually not what aligns with your, whatever you feel inside. So I think it's just really important to be like open to possibilities and constantly be checking in with yourself and be like, how does this feel? As opposed to like, what does this look like to, especially to people in the outside world.
Totally. And I'll conclude with this. I mentioned Evan in that same conversation. We're like almost 3 years in now, and we've had conversations with people that I wouldn't have ever thought I'd be having conversations with. And it's getting to the point where it's starting to feel kind of normal. And it's kind of like you hit that milestone. It's like, what's next? Because once you hit it, it's like, what are you supposed to do? Just sit around? And it goes back. We had this conversation last week with Joe Pomp. It's like when Rory won the Masters, he called it his Everest. Like, what do you do when you hit your Everest? I don't know. I don't think I want to know. So it's kind of one of those things. You just want to keep going. Like reaching an Everest is such an extreme feat.
No, I mean, I think that's why he's maybe or I think he's even said that he's struggled a little bit then, and he's hoping that the Open Championship can be another one of those an Everest for him. But yeah, I think it'll be. I certainly have not gotten to that point yet, but I think to like what you said, it would definitely be interesting to be in his shoes, where he has accomplished basically everything that he's wanted to on paper. So what now? I don't know.
I know. And I think this is the perfect place to conclude. Hally, great to meet you. Thank you for joining us. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me.
And Hally, where can everyone find you and all you're working on?
Yeah, most of it's most of it honestly is on Instagram. At Hally Led is where you can find me. I usually just put everything on there.
Awesome. Amazing. All right, we'll see you guys next Monday. Thanks for tuning in.